everyone, it's Brian with GreyWolf Towers again. So on this video I'm just going to do a single fan card instead of a dual fan card. We're going to do this GTX 1063GB OCV1 from MSI. We're going to redo the thermal paste on it, clean the dirt off of it, and see if that helps. With the previous video we did the GTX 970 from EVGA, and it dropped the thermals about 3 degrees and lowered the fan speed by about 7%. So on the EVGA 970 that we just did the same process on, it was a dual fan instead of a single fan like this one, but it dropped the temps about 3 to 4 degrees and it lowered the fan speed by about 7%, which is great for the longevity of the card. It only eked out a tiny bit of performance more than it did before, and that could have been within the margin of error, so I'm not gonna say that it necessarily got any better performance, but it will live longer and perform better in the long run because of that extra care that we did. So now on this one we're gonna do essentially the same thing. I'm gonna take a couple of these here paper towels. And so we're going to do first steps first. So first thing we got to do is we got to take apart the card. So we're going to flip it upside down. Now this model, unlike the EVGA 970 that had about a dozen screws, I think it's like 8 to 10, somewhere in there, this only has 4 screws. Now one of them is covered by this void warranty if removed, but the beautiful thing is that here in the United States that doesn't actually apply. It is perfectly legal for you to open your graphics card and perform the normal maintenance on it, or to hire somebody else if you don't feel comfortable doing it. Now, as I stated in the previous video, you do want to do this in a cross star style pattern. You don't want to just go and do one corner and then the next and then the next, especially when you're putting it on. When you're taking it off, it's not as big of a deal, but when you're taking it off, it can lead to an uneven pressure, but when you're putting it on, then it can actually lead to cracking or breaking the die. Oh, there we go. So are. Now this one is pretty bad like the other one was. You're not going to be able to see it from there, but dried thermal paste, I'll see it. So, we're going to grab a few more Q-tips. Now this is not quite as dried out as the 970, but it was getting there. It's crumbling off as I brush across it, so it's not gooey at all, and that's not good. So now, I will tell you from experience, you can use 70% like I'm using. However, you don't want to if you can avoid it. However, with the pandemic, I've not been able to get the higher 91 or 99%, and so I'm stuck with 70%. It will work, it will clean, and it will come off when it's had time to dry. It just tends to take a little longer. So what I'll do is I'll clean the dye with the rubbing alcohol, right? And then instead of just letting it air dry, I wipe it down with the dry part of the Q-tip, and that way it, one, dries faster, and two, any residue comes off. Now with this, there's no thermal pads, so you don't have to worry as much about like with the 970. So we're just gonna So we're just gonna scrub here. Get the ports here. So we're going to use one of these paper towels here to dab at this, just to help dry it a little bit quicker. It's going to dry on its own, and I'm not terribly worried about that, because by the time it gets over to the computer to be tested on the test bench, it will have dried. But I'm noticing that a lot of this gunk is not coming off, and it's just the grime from constant use, little bits of grime and dirt and stuff like that that just got stuck onto here, and nobody cleaned it, and so it just kind of stayed on there. So there we go. We're just gonna scrub it up, dub. Get all this lint out, get all this dust out. Again, it's not as bad as the other one, but it's not good, and the dust is bad for the card because it builds up heat that way. And we don't want the card to build up heat, because heat's what destroys electronics. There we go. And then on this cooler, I've never taken it apart, so I'm just looking at it real quick. Looks like 4 screws to get the shroud off. So we're going to switch to our small tip again. And these are long screws, so there we go. So now, I'm not going to go so far as to take the whole fan off, which you can do, but what I am going to do is brush out this stuff here. Because this is the outside part of it, it's where everybody's going to see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wipe it down with some rubbing alcohol. Now you do want to be careful with rubbing alcohol and plastic like these shrouds, because, and I guess a lot of people don't know this, or at least I never did until recently, rubbing alcohol when it dries will actually discolor the plastic sometimes, so you want to be careful with that. And this is the piece that goes this way, so we'll set it here. And we're just going to I don't know if you can see all this dirt and dust that's coming out of here, but there's a fair bit that if the person had just air dusted it a little bit here and there, they would have saved a lot of dust from being built up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and do the fan blades, and to do that I'm just going to put some rubbing alcohol in here. I'm just going to wipe down the blades between them, under them, and just off of these two blades. You can probably see the black there. It's pretty nasty. And that's just off of two of the blades. So, again, it's not that it's gonna like necessarily improve the performance dramatically, but it should increase the lifespan of the card by at least a while. If you maintain your card and do it well, you can add years onto the performance of the card, which saves you a lot of money in the long run, because I'm going to be honest, a lot of these GPUs are still quite capable even now in early 2021. So, and this one here's 3 to 4 years old. I can get an exact manufacturing date off of it in a second here. So it's a lot of gunk off of there. So the manufacture date was January of 2017. So actually the warranty like just ran out, because they are typically a 3-year warranty, so that's 2018, 2019, 2020. So a year ago this month. So, but it looks like that is done. So we are going to go ahead and like I do with all of them that I take apart this way, I do a star cross pattern to avoid tightening stuff too tight in one area and breaking or cracking stuff. Although you wouldn't break the die here, you would cause it to maybe break some plastic on the shroud, and that can cause problems with the fan, which then leads to heat problems, which then leads to a dead GPU. So instead, you just go here and do this now, and you don't have to worry about it later. I put it on upside down. Although it looks like it would still fit the other way, I put it upside down. So I'm just going to take this off real quick and swap the fan around. Go. There we are. So now on this one I'm going to use the same trick that I did last time. Only this time I'm going to try and put less thermal paste on it. So this time I'm going to try a little less thermal paste. We're just going to and then I'm going to try and spread this a little bit better here. Now the thermal paste that I'm using here is from Brian on Tech Yes City. I went and got the same thermal paste that he uses, and it does work pretty well for the most part. It's not quite as high quality as, say, Arctic Silver or something along those lines, but for a repaste on a GPU, it actually works pretty well, and it tends to be better than the original. Alright. And then just enough to hold it in place there. Same there. And then we just go ahead and put these to where they're not loose. There we go. Now we're just going to tidy up a little bit because there's still some gunk on the backs here. There we go. So that is the GTX 1060 3GB OCV1 variant from MSI, re-thermal pasted and ready to go. And I'm going to go ahead and pause real quick, run some benchmarks, see how it does, and then I'll let you know the difference that it made. Alright, so back from the test bench. So we weren't able to do a whole lot, but we were able to do a good chunk. It was already low on the temps with 70 degrees before and a 52% fan when it was running on firm mark. This time it dropped down to 65, which is 5 degrees, and it dropped to 48% on the fan curve. I think it fluctuated a little bit towards 49, but it was still below 50% on the fans, and it was doing 65 degrees at 100% GPU load. So pretty good. The performance boost was still minimal within the margin of error. It went from 124.9, I think it was, to 125.2. So a slight increase, but not a huge number. But the point is, better thermals, longer life, and at least similar, if not better, performance. So overall, it was a great idea to redo the thermal paste on this card. It is outside of warranty, so there's no worries about voiding the warranty on this particular card, but even if it were still under warranty, doing a thermal paste swap does not void the warranty in the United States. If you're outside the United States, check your laws. It may or may not void your warranty out there. It does state void where possible when you break the seal. So keep that in mind. But now that it's cleaner, it looks a little smoother, a little nicer, performs really good, it's going to be ready to go into a system and be an item to sell. So anyway, I hope that you all enjoyed the look at this card. This is the MSI GTX 1060 3GB OCV1 single fan card. It is dual slots, gives you your DVI, HDMI, and DisplayPort. It does take a single 6-pin, but it's not too much power that it takes, and even older power supplies can usually handle it. And like I said, re-thermal pasting it will help it to live longer and healthier and remain active, and be one less part for you to have to replace in these days of hard to find graphics cards again. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit the like button down below. If you haven't yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button, which should be up about here. It will help you to remain up to date on our new videos and also our community section. And then if you have any questions or comments, make sure you leave them in the comment section down below, whether they're for me personally or the channel or about this product. I'm more than happy to answer as soon as I'm able to. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye for now.